Outdoor Warehouse brings you the For Every Adventure podcast, where seeking adventure is a lifestyle.
In this episode of For Every Adventure, think survival. We're talking bugs, making fires.
Yes, eating bugs.
Out in the cold.
Repelling bugs. It isn't just about bugs, I promise. It is about survival. Herman from Boswa Survival, he spoke to us and he gave us so much insight into what it takes to go out there and to survive. He spoke to us about the courses he has on offer and a bunch of interesting stuff. I don't want to give too much away, but I know you're going to enjoy this.
Let's get out there. This is the For Every Adventure podcast. Climb in as we learn everything we need to know about the great outdoors.
Hey, welcome to For Every Adventure, brought to you by Outdoor Warehouse. I'm Kyle. Hello, Chanel.
Kyle, nice to be here, and
Yes.
I'm really excited to get outdoors today.
Yes, no glamping today. It's
No.
strictly survival. Are you ready?
I love this, though.
Have you ever been in a situation where you need to tap into your survival skills, if you have any?
You know what? I had a very resourceful father.
Okay.
So when we were out on the farm, I always knew he had it. But I learned a lot,
Okay.
here and there when there's issues on the farm out in, nowhere.
Yeah, I would 100% be lost if I were to find myself in nature without any resources and
Yes.
without a plan.
Yes.
I unfortunately do not have a lot of survival experience.
Yeah.
I've watched TV, and maybe that's the main thing. It's media where I can sort of draw, I wouldn't say experience, but maybe just a bit of knowledge. And when I started thinking about this episode, drawing from the sources, I would say, that I've had for survival, I think about a movie that I saw when I was young called Into the Wild. I really loved this movie when I saw it. It's about a guy called Christopher McCandless, and it's a true story. He went off the grid, and at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, it's an old movie, he found a bus in Alaska, like this abandoned bus. And I'm not too clued up about how experienced this guy was, but he had to have had some experience at this stage. And he passed away because he ate the wrong berries. He got poisoned.
Oh, no.
And then...
That was the end of the movie.
That was generally the end, yes.
Oh, okay.
And that sort of reminded me about how dangerous nature is. It's a very formidable foe, and to have knowledge and to have the skills to be able to survive off the grid, it just seems very important. So I am very excited to learn a lot from Herman today.
Yes, we're going to chat to Herman Roos. He's from Boswa, and we'll find out more about that right now. Get ready for your outdoor adventures this winter with our exclusive winter promotions and member-only rewards deals from 6 June to 7 July 2024. Hit the trails, set up camp, conquer the off-roads, or cook outdoors. We have everything you need to make every day an adventure. Grab our winter leaflet in-store or download it online today. Outdoor Warehouse. For every adventure. For every adventure. Where we explore all the best in outdoor adventures. Welcome to today's episode, Herman Roos. So nice to meet you. But okay, we've got you here on the screen in front of us. Where are you today?
Good morning, guys. Happy to be here. I'm in Krugersdorp, just outside Magaliesburg. That's where my Gauteng branch is, and I'm at the moment training some students in the field. So I took some time out, came to visit my mom, which lives in Krugersdorp still. And that's where I'm running this podcast from for you guys.
Fantastic. Boswa Survival. I checked out the website. 4,500 students you've taught already. Well done. And more to come, obviously. You're doing a course right now.
Yeah, I'm very privileged to have trained so many students. Last week when I did the Ranger course, and over the weekend I've updated the website. And when I punched the number into the website of the students that I've trained, I realized that I've trained so many. And the amazing thing is how many people's lives have been changed through these. That is an overwhelming feeling, but we are extremely privileged. And it's awesome.
I'd like to take you back to why you started this Boswa Survival. Like, what's the idea behind it and how did it happen?
Boswa Survival was originally started as an academy for adventure. My original idea was to start training people in adventure. And when I came back to South Africa after spending a lot of time overseas learning all these skills, I decided to start Boswa Survival, and it was a natural progression from there. I think, and I also believe that it is a necessary progression, and the business started with a very specific goal in mind. I think people need to break away from their normal lives. They need to connect back with nature. They need to get out to where they pretty much come from. And with all the stresses that we have nowadays, and with everything that we're bombarded with in our modern day lives, just to take some time out, forget about everything, learn some new skills that you can apply to everyday life when you get back to civilization, makes a massive impact on people. And I think that's where Boswa grew from. It was born as a training academy, but at the moment it's a life skills school. I pretty much believe people benefit so much from it.
Okay. And just why the name Boswa?
That is also very interesting. Okay. I've actually got... I started looking for a very short name that's quite nice and catchy, because the original business was Bushcraft on Safari Wilderness Adventures, which encompass all the adventures you can do outdoors. So the short for that is Bushcraft on Safari Wilderness Adventures. Very, very funnily, actually and luckily, it worked out in Afrikaans the same. Boskuns op Safari Wilderness Avonture.
Okay.
But then a few years after that, after already running Boswa, I had a girl from Botswana that came on my course. And while she was sitting next to the campfire with me, she said, I really want to ask you one thing, sir. This Boswa name that you've got, why do you use that name? Because it's actually in our anthem of the Botswana national anthem. So I never knew that. What? And I asked her, so what do you mean? And she said that Boswa name in their language in the national anthem means ancestral skills. And when she said that, I realized this is what I actually should be doing. This is quite amazing. It's just a confirmation.
That's amazing, yeah.
Who are your courses designed for?
My courses are designed for normal adventurers. I've got quite an array of courses. So the normal guy from street that just want to get out and learn new skills. They've never camped before, complete newbies. I've got courses for that with a basic survival course. And then I've got adventurers that really want to put themselves to a great level of competence. And our advanced courses, our extreme courses, the solo survival course, the ranger, navigation, bush medic are all specialized courses. And these courses are designed for people that really want to go to a professional level.
And what can you expect to learn when you go on these courses? I mean, I think every course is going to have a specific curriculum, if I can call it that. Yes. Can you give us some more insight?
That is, the course has been written to teach the theory, the history and the theory behind survival, because a lot of people watch survival videos, they watch YouTube, which is awesome. You learn so many things there, but they never get a compact package where they can just learn everything in a single weekend or on a single course. And that's how I package my courses, to take people from all walks of life, teach them the human basic needs of survival. So whatever we need when we're out in the wilderness in a very, very compact, easy to learn package. And we give the guys practical skills which students can use and try themselves. And with all that diverse training method, they emerge and go home competent. They've got a much better skill level. And now they are much more confident going out into the wilderness. And I think that's the goal of the courses.
And how far removed are these reality TV shows or the YouTube channels from the actual reality of surviving?
It's very interesting. My students come on courses and they all follow all the cool guys on YouTube and so.
All right.
Because these guys are amazing and some of them are really adding value. I don't think my business would have thrived the way it does if it wasn't for all these guys. So thank you guys if you are watching. My students come on the course, and after the course, they know exactly what to look for in terms of scrutinizing skills, which I think is very important. There's a lot of guys that actually do the skills for the passion of survival. They teach it, they put their videos up, and they do social media and adventure programs on television because they truly believe in that skills. You can see the passion in these guys. And therefore, they normally give you very useful tips. They give you very useful skills and information, which then builds on your knowledge base. But yeah, after doing a course with Boswa, you will definitely be able to look at a YouTube channel, look at the skills and say, okay, this I can use, that I'm not so 100% sure of. But so it gives you a reference framework to work from. And survival is just an amazing, amazing subject. It changes people's lives for sure.
I'm sure when you get out there and you have to do these things yourself, there's a big difference. And that's why these courses are, it's going to help you. But I need to understand also how long, say now an advanced course, how long are you taken into the bush and taught these skills?
All right, so our basic survival course where we teach people all the safety of survival, the safe cutting techniques, how to survive with all the skills of the human needs we need. After that, they can then go out on adventures or a specific extreme survival course with us.
Oh, okay.
The survival courses depend on the environment we go to and the time of year, which is then the weather conditions. But we've done extreme courses from 3 days right up to 13 days. And the guys go out there with no food, no water, no sleeping bags. They pretty much have to survive with what nature gives them. Therefore, bushcraft skills is very important to know how to use natural resources to your advantage to provide in your needs as a human in the wilderness. So these skills, and when the guys go out on these extremes with us, they go into those extremes very unsure. They don't know what to expect. There's hundreds of questions that get emailed to me before those courses. And once those guys are out in the field and they start seeing that the human spirit is so resilient, and just with a little bit of skills, we can actually surely do make it out alive. They have that realization that they can do it. The problem is that things can go wrong really easy. So on the other side of the coin, they also realize on those expeditions and on those extreme courses that when things do go wrong, you'll be in serious, serious trouble. So it is an awesome, fun subject. It's great skills to learn, but it is a life skill course and life skill subject that means the difference between life and death, literally.
Yeah, survival is not supposed to be easy. So I'm guessing these courses aren't designed to be easy. But at the same time, I think the way that you approach it is with a positive vibe, sort of creating a positive environment to make the learning easier. How hard can I expect these courses to be on me physically and mentally?
That's a very interesting question, because what's amazing is that when we do these extreme courses and people start booking for them, we obviously get people from all walks of life. We get adventurers that's extremely fit and that is really competent. And then we also get the guy that really never camped before. He did a basic survival course. He wants to go and see how he can actually survive and how his body cope with these conditions. And on these extreme courses, we actually carry the guys mentally. Physically, they are challenged quite a bit. But amazingly, people find a way to pull through. They grind their teeth and they get through it. Sometimes you're hungry, sometimes you're tired, sometimes you're wet, sometimes it's cold. But just adding that little bit of value to your life, actually experiencing these things, make you appreciate everything so much more when you get back home. And I think the thing that my students always tell me is when they get back home and they send me feedback emails is, I really appreciate my bed. I really appreciate my shower. I open up a fridge and there's some food in there. Because we get vegetarians on a course, obviously for guys that have different lifestyle choices. The courses become a little bit more difficult because now they're not prepared to eat insects. They're not prepared to actually kill anything to eat it, which is also a big issue for them. But they see the value in, for purely survival, we need to go to sort of extremes to be able to provide in our human needs. So easy to walk into a supermarket and fill your trolley up with what you need. But the people never walk past the rack where all the meat are, and they don't really realize where does that come from.
Yeah.
Ask the question on how is this provided, and I think you start to appreciate life so much that every single thing that you get out in the wilderness becomes a privilege rather than a right. And it is that, I think that realization changes people's lives when they go back home.
I wanted to ask, why would I go on a survival course when I can just go to a shopping mall and sit on the couch? And last season, we had this theme running through most of the episodes that said prep, make sure you're prepared for the outdoors. And I'm sort of feeling like this season, a recurring theme that we're having is the human spirit. And maybe that's what it comes down to. Just to know you've got that in you. You've got the ability to survive, and you've got that basic survival instinct, the human spirit to overcome.
It is an amazing experience. The bug out and the prepping thing you talk about. If you think about, I watched a documentary on the Springboks the other day, their preparation for the World Cup. And it was such an amazing experience to see how similar it is to training for pretty much anything in your life. There's a very common thread there. If you go on a survival course, on a normal challenge yourself on a soft sort of basis, these skills are not far removed from what the guys have to train their bodies in. Because every time you go out into a wilderness situation, every time you're on a course or you learn a new skill, it is enhancing your abilities. It's enhancing your abilities not just in that skill, but in other areas of your life as well.
I have to ask this. Has anyone ever quit and said, Akani, like, I want out? Or has everyone, found a way to survive through it?
Very amazing question. And that's something that one of the students actually asked me on last week's course. I've never, ever had a student walking out on a course.
Okay.
I even had students that actually brought their wives on this course that they booked for them and told them that they were going away for their anniversary to a hotel.
Wow, so this is a good idea. Tell me more.
This girl stepped out of the car in this wilderness area with all our bush guys with our clothing and our bush hats. She had high heels on. She had no sleeping bag. She had no bag. Her husband didn't even pack her outdoor gear. She had the suitcase that she prepared for a nice luxury weekend away in a hotel. So we had to rummage through our rucksacks, borrow her stuff, lend her stuff. But it is so amazing to think that even that girl that never have experienced anything like this just took the challenge, went through the course, and it is amazing. She after the course, she sent me an email and said she never expected this. And her boyfriend her husband is in serious trouble because next year you have to step up. But but she was never regretted actually doing the course. And people came on the course and you can see they're unsure and they're dragged there by friends, family, and so on. But in the end, they all benefit so much when they're on the course. And that's very difficult to market for us because to market survival in a package is so difficult. But you see the value only once you're there. So, it is amazing. I've never had a student walk out. And I've never had a student giving me feedback to say that they really didn't want to be there. Every single person have benefited in some sort of way.
My follow-up question would have been, are they still together? But it does sound like it worked out well, which is great news. What are some of the basic human needs when you're in a survival situation?
Right. So our basic survival, we call it the big six of survival, is you need shelter, you need protection in the wilderness. And then you need fire. Fire is extremely important. We need water and we need food. That's our nutritional values. And then we need first aid skills. We need some sort of a knowledge on how to keep ourselves healthy. And that also includes hygiene. In your normal day life, it's not difficult to follow a hygienic regime in the wilderness. But when you're out there all the time in the same clothes, the same environment, it becomes difficult. And that can lead to medical issues. And then the sixth one is rescue. And rescue skills also encompass navigation, how to be found, how to actually make your campsite big enough and appear big enough so that rescuers will be able to find you either from air or land, and or in water for that matter if you're surviving in the ocean. The basic human needs of survival for all environments and across all outdoor activities stays exactly the same. Those are also the human needs that people pack for when they go on normal trips, when they go on normal adventures. They go to Outdoor Warehouse, pack a rucksack, buy the kit there, and no matter what they actually take from the racks and what they put in their shopping trolley, they actually have this thing in mind. I need food, so let's get some nice camp food. I need water, so I need a water bottle. I need some purification tablets. So these things stay the same. And the skills go in depth on the course, which makes it easy for people to then prepare, pack their own rucksacks and be prepared whenever they go out, even on short adventures.
How important is it to know your own body in terms of your fitness level and what you can take in terms of, cold and all of those things? Do you also teach that?
Definitely. People, that's one of the big questions they always ask when they book is, do I need to have a big fitness level for survival? And the simple answer is no. You arrive on the course in the condition and the physical sort of abilities that you have, and we take those abilities and we enhance them, we build on them. So people that's completely unfit can do the courses, because reality is when disaster strikes and you're in a situation where you need to rely on these skills, you can't suddenly now stop everything and get fit. It's obviously a good idea to be in good physical condition all the time, to have a good physical sort of a healthy mind, body, and spirit. Eat healthy, exercise. But if you're in a survival situation, you can't choose those things and go back on a lifestyle. What is amazing as well is that when guys arrive on the course and they're completely unfit, they get the realization that, listen, my life has actually been somehow pushed into a direction where I now need to make good life decisions. And some of those life decisions also include then looking after yourself a little bit better. You will be able to move easier. You'll be able to do the tasks easier if you're a bit more fit. But I also get the guys that use the excuse, if they've got a little bit of extra that they carry around, to say that they'll survive longer out in the wilderness than the skinny guys. But out of a nutritional value sort of thing, that's not really true. Everybody get hungry. Everybody needs the nutritional values. But the hunger gets to everybody, and luckily it only lasts like 2 or 3 days. So on extended journeys and extended trips out there, it's the first 2 days that's the worst for the guys out there. After 2 days, your body starts to adapt and you start to accept your situation. And then amazingly, the body follows as well. You're not that hungry anymore, even though you haven't eaten. But then your energy level starts to drop if you don't get nutritional value. We need protein, we need carbohydrates, we need fats, we need minerals and vitamins and all sorts of things out there, which is difficult to find if you don't have an intimate knowledge of what sort of plants, insects, and food sources out there provide what nutritional value. So we need to listen to our bodies. I think if the guys bulk up a little bit more before going on an extended trip like that, maybe they will probably be able to last a little bit longer without actually having to have major issues. Whereas the skinny guys need to eat all the time. Their metabolism is really fast. So maybe, I don't know. I've never tried to eat purposefully more to go on as well. Of course, maybe that's something I should try for my next extreme course.
Listen, being hungry is a thing. Right? It definitely is a thing. So how do you control the emotions of your students when you're at day 2 and everyone's hungry and angry?
That is really cool. I've actually, after the first course that I've run with students extended like that, I always kept a little notebook in my pocket, because sitting around a campfire at night, especially on night 1 and 2, you get so many recipes from these guys because they crave their food, that they give you all their secrets. So that's all the stuff they want from back home and they miss it. So your body and your mind are very closely linked when it comes to hunger and thirst and tiredness. Hunger, for instance, if you are really hungry, it's something that you focus on all the time. So to try to keep your mind off that, we keep students busy. We give them tasks to perform. And we also show them and tell them how to listen to their bodies and realize what sort of transformation they're going through now. And they never believe you when you tell them that on day 3 it will actually become a bit better. But after day 3, that third night, there's always a discussion around the campfire where the guys say, but we're okay now. We'll be able to make it. But they do realize that we still need food. We still need to forage. We still need to find the right stuff, because as a human being, we can only survive for about 3 weeks without food. Then we will be in serious trouble. And when you are malnutritioned and you do not have food, then it will tap into the reserves, and your body will use that to actually try and stay afloat and keep going.
Herman, I want to ask for examples, just because I just want to, see this thing. So can you name one thing that you first teach to find, that's most easy to find in the wilderness to eat, and then maybe something that people don't know that's poisonous or one should look out for and not consume?
All right, so that's very interesting. The guys always want to, if you're looking for meat, they always look for the big animals. They want to hunt, they want to trap, they want to fish. And those things are quite difficult depending on the environment that you're in. You also need resources for those, but they neglect the small animals, like turning a stump over and there's some worms there, there's some maggots and insects and things that you can eat. So these small little insects provide us with a lot of nutritional value.
Okay.
Even though they are small, in concentration, they carry more nutritional value for us than processed meat. So the guys normally realize, okay, we need to go out, find some locusts, find some worms, and then they go on a forage hunt, which is quite great fun. The problem is that you need to know what to eat and what you can't eat. So we've got golden rules that we follow, that we teach students as far as insects go. If anything has got a very strong smell, you leave it alone. And if it's got a very bright color, so that they don't need to hide from predators, then we can't eat them as well. So the insects that is camouflaged, that's got camouflage or neutral colors, are normally the ones that's okay to eat. And the ones that doesn't have any smell or any strong sort of stench when we pick it up is also okay to eat.
That's so basic, but I mean, that's so interesting. I was hoping you were going to say berries, but okay, we're at the worms now.
We're at the worms. You probably have a few good braai recipes for a nice worm dinner, huh?
Yes, definitely. We if you actually supplement it with a bit of berries and you add extra flavor to it, it's quite amazing. We've got a base food that I teach the guys on the basic course to do. This is also a spoiler alert for the guys that's booking their next course. But we teach you a really cool survival bread to make, which is called bannock. It's an old Scottish word for fire bread. Yeah. And we supplement it because it's a very basic sort of bread, but we add things to it. And on this course that we were on just now, the guys actually took khaki bos, and they took stinging nettles, and they took all sorts of stuff that they wanted to add to their berries. But then knapse cattle, which is pretty much one of our very South African words that we know, these little seeds that clings to your pants whenever you walk through the wilderness. Yes. They're pretty much everywhere. The leaves of those plants is quite nutritional. You can actually eat it. Okay. And we added that to the bannock, and the guys were quite amazed. And the taste is also quite nice. So you can also take that little seeds of the knapse cattle, and you can actually eat it as just a little snack on the road, or you can grind it up and you can make powdery sort of coffee and tea from it, which is very pleasant. And it's a nuisance plant that everybody walks past. So students then realize that how many plants, how many insects, how many things do we really walk around in the wilderness past that we don't even realize that they've got beneficial value for us. I truly believe that everything in nature has got a value or a purpose. So whether it be a poison or whether it be a beneficial value for us. But that's why it's so awesome to go out into the wilderness and learn more and more every single time you go out. It is amazing.
And then I suppose you can also teach about medicinal value of certain plants when you're out there.
That is also very interesting, and it always comes up on my courses. For instance, guys walk past a weeping willow tree, and you don't realize that when you take a square inch of the bark, an inch is roughly about 2.5 centimeters. So if you take a 2.5 centimeter by 2.5 centimeter piece of the inner bark, which is the cambium layer, that actually has enough aspirin to clear a headache. What? So if you're in the wilderness and you have a headache or some very light pain, you can actually take a square inch of willow bark, chew it, and you will get the same paracetamol value than you get from a Panado tablet. And that is so amazing. When I do it with my students, they just are so amazed. And then also, if you get it wrong and you eat something in the wilderness that's really causing you harm and you know your stomach is now complaining a bit, we take some burned out charcoal from the fire, we grind it into a powder, mix it with water, and you drink it. And that acts as a poison absorber. It settles your stomach, and within half an hour, you feel better. Wow. So we have treated so many students that way, and it's non-intrusive. It's not there's no risk involved at all because you can't overdose on charcoal. It actually is just a really good, safe, and easy remedy for a lot of stomach ailments. So those things are valuable, definitely.
So insects can be beneficial for you in the wild. Obviously, they can feed you and more, but they're not always beneficial. They're sometimes a nuisance, right? So what do you do when you want to keep the mosquitoes away or keep insects away that you don't want close to your camp?
That is also very cool. The guys always look for insect repellent because when you're in areas where there's a lot of nuisance animals, so kakibos is one of the leaves. The leaves of the kakibos we rub on our skin, and it keeps insects away. The smoke from the fire also helps, and then we use the ash of the fire, the burned out white ash, to rub in areas where there's actually moisture buildup, like between your toes, under your armpits, for areas and places where you can't really take a bath in a river or a stream. And that absorbs the moisture, keeps you healthy, and it also acts as an insect repellent. So it keeps insects and mosquitoes and fleas and ticks away from you.
That's quite cool. So the one thing you said that bugged me there at the start.
Me.
Yeah, it bugged me.
Well
it's
done.
not even the bugs. It's the fact that you said you send them out with no sleeping bags, nothing. And I'm like, how cold is this going to be? So I want to just know, how do you insulate if it gets really cold? Is there a specific way of doing things? Or I don't want you to give everything away that you're going to teach in the course, but maybe you can just tell us a little bit.
All right, so when we need to protect ourselves shelter-wise or from the elements and from the environment out there, there's quite a few ways that our body loses heat. It loses heat through radiation, convection, through conduction. And the big thing is that we need to know how to actually insulate our bodies and protect us against the wind, the rain, the cold from the ground. So one of the biggest tips that I can give the guys is if you've got an extra sleeping bag or you have an extra blanket, rather than putting it on top of you, you put it underneath you. A lot of your heat escapes into the ground as you lie on the ground. The animals in the field just push the grass flat and they lie on that to sleep at night. And that grass insulates you. And it is so amazing that just lying on a bit of dry grass actually makes such a massive, massive difference. And then obviously the ability to make a fire so that you can benefit from the heat is extremely important.
Okay.
I see on the website you have been training students for over 17 years. How much experience do you have in survival?
I started surviving, I guess, when I was roughly about 10 years or so old.
Wow.
I always wanted to go out into the wilderness, do my own thing. And I spent a lot of time on adventures and adventure activities like fishing on my own out in the wilderness, go out on my uncle's farm and just explore the wild out there. And I actually gave my mom a lot of gray hairs right in the beginning, letting me go out on my own. And it's a dangerous world out there. But I've realized from very, very young that you have to have respect for nature. You need to know that there is dangers out there, but nature is predictable. And if you can learn the skills and you can learn the normal habits and the normal instinct of animals and the dangers out there, it's easy to avoid them. I found that your most dangerous places to live in is in a place where there's people that can change their mind in a heartbeat. Whereas if you're out in the wilderness and you survive out there and you learn these survival skills, then it's predictable and you can actually easily adapt and become part of that environment. And we are intruders there. So early days and the long time that I've actually learned survival skills over the past, I would reckon roughly about 30 years. I'm almost 50 now. And it's been an amazing, amazing journey of discovery, but also a realization that nature is so vast and it is so amazing and it's got so much benefit for us. But it teaches you so much respect as well for the animals out there, for the environment, for the resources. Because you can see that when we're out in the wilderness, every time you go to a very popular place, there is things that start to deteriorate or there's new growth. And both those adverse senses of loss and sense of new gain actually gives you a very, very good mind frame to be able to face the challenges that we have every single day in our normal day, modern lives. Because things change. Nothing is ever going to stay the same. And you expect that when you go out into the wilderness, and sadly that doesn't happen. We change, and we need to accept the fact that everything around us changes as well. So through the past 30 years, I think that's the most important lesson that I've learned. Through my survival skills, I've learned a lot of very good base skills and practical skills. But I think that realization in your mind of you need to adapt, you need to now step into a new environment and actually face the challenges, makes you very resilient, and it makes a huge difference. So yeah, I've been involved in survival for roughly about 30 years. Boswa Survival has now been in South Africa for 17 years. So yeah, at the moment we are South Africa's leading survival training academy. I've also established STASA, which is Survival Training Association South Africa, which give you official accreditation for the courses.
Nice.
So the skills that we teach are research skills. They are practical skills that's internationally accredited through all the big sort of survival schools in the UK and the US and Canada and all these places. So it is a very privileged journey that I've had up till this point.
And along this journey, is there a scenario or a situation that stands out to you? It could be something special that happened in the wild. It could be a dangerous situation maybe that you got away from. Tell us a story.
One of the most adverse sort of situations that I found myself in, and that happened quite suddenly, was in Scotland. When I did an extreme expedition with students. At that point, I wasn't an instructor, I was still training. So we were part of a training exercise in the Highlands where the guys took us over one of those huge big lochs. You can't see the other side. They are just amazing and masses of water. So they took us into the Highlands where I think the Vikings must have treated the last time before we were there. There's no human signs, there's no roads, there's nothing to remind you of back home. And it is very unforgiving. So you get that feeling of, I'm now out of my depth, this is going to be serious. So we did a whole week of training there, 8 days. After that 8 days, we were supposed to go back. We were very hungry, very tired. But we were now elated. We made it back. We did the long hike out, and the boat's going to come pick us up. As soon as the boat arrived, the weather starts turning bad, and the storm came in. So we had a group of 8 students and 2 instructors. And we decided to take those 8 students and divide them up into 2 groups. The students that need to go first in the boat. So we pushed the guys in, and they went over first. The boat was too small for everybody else, and it would have been too heavy. So by the time they reached the other side, which was about 2 hours later, by that time it was a raging storm, they radioed us and said they're not coming back. We need to now make a plan to actually either stay where we are and survive, or we need to hike about 15 kilometers into the mountains to a safe extraction site where they can come and pick us up with a rescue helicopter, or we need to hike out to a mountain rescue center, which was, according to the map, roughly about 12, 13 kilometers away. So we opted out for the hike. We said, okay, we had a map, we'll be able to make it. It was one of the toughest things that I've ever done. We were completely malnutrition in the storm. Everything was wet. It was horrendous. So in the that happened about late afternoon when we started walking, and very late in the early morning of the next day, we actually walked out to the mountain rescue center. So that was hours and hours later, but it felt like days. And we slept for about 2 days after that. we were exhausted. So that was and all that whole journey, you think things can now seriously go wrong. If there's a medical condition, we need to carry somebody out. Over that terrain was extremely tough. We had to climb over mountains. We had to do rock climbing without ropes. Slippery, wet. It was tough and very dangerous.
It sounds like a nightmare, but I think surviving that must be actually quite an achievement. It must give you a really good feeling about it all. Herman, so maybe you have a story of one of your students that came back to you afterwards and said it really helped them out there.
I actually had a student about 3 years or so ago. He came and did a course with his kids. And he had 2 young sons, quite young as well, 9 and 11 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
And they did the course with me, and they went for a hike in the Drakensberg. After the course, they started doing quite a lot of adventures and so on. And they were out on this adventure, only a day hike. And they had only day packs with them, very limited clothing, no long pants, just trainers and shorts. They at least had a bit of a kit bag, a small kit bag. After the course, they packed the basic stuff like a rain jacket and so. And that evening, they got a little bit lost. So they actually had to now stay that night out. And people were expecting them back, and they actually didn't know where they were. They were completely on the wrong side of the mountain.
Oh, no.
and they had no way to get back. The mist was so thick that they couldn't follow lights and get back. So they decided to make an adventure out of it and camp out. And at first, the kids was like really scared. They really wanted to just go home. And then he started telling them the stories of the courses that they've done. And they started thinking about it, and their mind frame shifted into adventure. They decided to make an amazing adventure of it.
Okay.
And they went through that like through the night, made a little fire, which they struggled to do because it was wet. So they went through all the difficulties and eventually did find the small space where they could just get out of the rain and wind. And they stayed there for the night with their small fire, didn't get much sleep, and it was actually quite tough. But yeah, those kids went back home and they sent me a message afterwards and saying that they were now telling that story to every single person they walked past. It's such an amazing life story for them. But things could have gone so wrong so easily. So the dad contacted me just a short while after that. And he just wanted to thank me for all the skills that we've taught them on the courses, because he realized that if that happened with them that sounds like something really stupid and like really not life-threatening. But if they didn't have the course and they didn't do the skills, they would have been in serious trouble. He would have sat with two kids that's completely scared now, that will probably would have made life a lot more difficult for him. And now he could focus on that adventure to provide them their needs. Just that calming down, that little bit of skill knowledge just completely made all the difference in the world.
It's interesting.
And what could have turned into a disaster was now an awesome life experience and adventure.
So it starts with mindset. That's what
Definitely.
I find interesting. So they started seeing it as an adventure.
I sort of feel like you just answered my next question. But I want to ask you, if you had to give one reason for someone to take one of your courses, what would that be?
There's hundreds of reasons for guys to do the courses. People nowadays, we are so unsure of what's happening around the next corner. Our modern society sort of needs and what's provided for us is under so much pressure with resources and with so many people that actually need these resources that it's very difficult to keep things going in an ideal world. So things are not ideal anymore, and people realize that. And the reasons why they should actually do survival courses like this is to be able to adapt when need to. So you accept your situation, you start to make a plan by yourself, and then adapt and actually face the challenge, overcome it, and grow as a human being. And that could be something as really simple as actually not being without electricity for a while. We see that in South Africa, people have started doing that automatically anyway. We live with load shedding, it's part of our lives now. So what they do is they make alternative plans when that happens. And it is a proof that the human spirit and the resilience of people is much stronger than challenges. So I think if we can have that realization and people come on the course specifically to learn skills to be able to overcome those challenges, and then also to experience firsthand what it is like to be able to survive like that. Because to go out on your own is very daunting. But to do it in a controlled environment where you've got trained instructors around you, and you can actually now come on a weekend where you are looked after and you can do it in a safe environment, is the best training platform you can get. It is an amazing experience to do that out in the wilderness, but it's not really necessary to just go out and do it there. If you take the challenges, I teach my students that all challenges in life is an opportunity to grow. So all the positive things that happen to you in your life is things that you can take as important learning lessons that grow you, and you can benefit from that.
If there's one piece of life-saving gear you would recommend to listeners to always carry with them, do you have one thing you could recommend, or is that also not possible?
It is possible for survival, definitely. Or if you look at one piece of equipment that you definitely can't go without, it's a knife.
Okay.
You need a cutting tool. With a knife, you can manipulate natural resources to be able to provide in all your other needs. But to make a really good, usable knife in the wilderness is probably one of the most difficult tasks out there.
Okay.
You can make fire with friction fire lighting by cutting pieces of wood and manipulating them and actually creating an ember from pieces of wood. But you'll need a knife for that. You can build a shelter with a knife. You can signal with a knife. You can provide food with a knife. So a knife is definitely the most important tool I I would definitely say.
I actually see you have a course specifically for knife making, a knife making course.
That is an amazing experience. If somebody just wants to come out, learn a new skill, that's not survival at all. That's just in my workshop there in Goudersmond.
Yes.
And we've got a very nice workshop set up in our bush camp here in Gauteng. We only take 4 people on that course. So it's a very personal and very controlled course. But yeah, you learn fire forging. So we physically take a round piece of metal, stick it in a forge, heat it up, and then hammer it into a blade.
Blacksmith.
And then you harden it and you make a proper blacksmithing knife.
Oh, that's
it's
so
amazing.
cool.
That's amazing, yeah.
Goudersmond there on the garden route.
Yes. It's close to Mossel Bay.
Okay.
So yeah, the branch is only about 2 kilometers from the N2. So we're very close, and it's an absolutely amazing, beautiful area.
Herman, so we've spoken about this one item that we need. It's the knife. And there must be a couple of other products as well that you can recommend that we should take into the wilderness with us. So maybe we can have a look at some of them. Take the plunge into outdoor adventures with Outdoor Warehouse and the For Every Adventure podcast.
Rediscover the joy of camping with Outdoor Warehouse. Pitch your home away from home with our wide variety of tents and sleeping bags for any season. Unwind in our hand-picked camping furniture for ultimate relaxation. And keep things cool with camping fridges and freezers from the biggest brands. Your camping adventure starts at Outdoor Warehouse. Available online or in-store. Outdoor Warehouse. For every adventure.
Herman, let's talk about this knife that we need. So which one would you recommend and also tell your students about that we can find at Outdoor Warehouse?
I've used a lot of knives through all the times that I've been on courses with students, and I've seen some amazing knives that the students brought on courses. But something that amazed me nowadays is a knife that you can buy pretty much from Outdoor Warehouse straight over the counter, which is called the Morakniv. It's actually a knife that comes from Sweden, a very good value for money, and it performs the task exceptionally well. So as a student knife or as a first-time knife, somebody that's not used to knives, that wants to buy their first knife, I can promise you're going to buy this knife and actually probably put it in your kit bag and use it for the rest of your outdoor adventure sort of life. They are extremely well made, and I would definitely recommend that knife.
Yeah, and they're pretty affordable from what I can see. The Morakniv Basic 546 stainless steel knife is the one I'm looking at, available at Outdoor Warehouse. And I think the durability is really a big thing for me, seeing as they are so affordable.
It's interesting. I was expecting something with, a lot of tools, one of those.
Machete.
But this is a very basic knife, so that's good to know.
It's important that you keep it basic. I think for survival, we don't want to overcomplicate things.
Okay.
So you also don't want tools that can fail on you in the field with folding mechanisms. So to have something as solid as that you can hammer with a batten, that you can split wood with, that you can carve spoons with, it is amazing. And yeah, that's what the guys should look out for.
Okay. And then what other basic items do we need for survival in the wilderness?
We've got a very essential 3, which is extremely well documented on all our kit lists. And that's also the 3 that's always on top of our kit lists on the website as well. And that is the knife that we've just discussed. Also a fire making tool. So a fire striker, something that doesn't require gas like a lighter. A normal outdoor fire lighting, and I know Outdoor Warehouse do sell some really good examples of those in terms of magnesium blocks and also ferro rods and striker rods. And then also a water bottle. It's preferable if you can carry the water bottle on your body, because then you will have it with you all the time, and that will just encourage you to stay hydrated just a little bit easier.
And with size of the water bottle, would you go for sort of larger, or is it something that's more comfortable to carry around?
A water bottle, you should remember, if you fill it with 1 liter of water, that weighs roughly 1 kilogram. So to have that around your waist all the time has got quite a bit of benefit for us in that 1 liter water bottle. As a human in the field, we need to drink between 2 and 3 of those bottles a day. So it reminds you to drink it as you actually feel that the water is becoming empty, the water bottle is becoming empty on your body. you miss that weight, and then suddenly you realize I need to fill up. It's time to have a bit of water, but discipline. Otherwise, the guys don't drink nearly as much water. So I completely believe in those 1 liter bottles. It gives the guys an awesome way out there in the wilderness to recognize their water needs, recognize that their bottle's getting empty, and that also gives them a guideline on how much they've drank. If they've drank 2 or 3 of those bottles, then you should be in really good physical shape as far as water intake goes.
And Outdoor Warehouse, they have a lot of options when it comes to it, but I'd recommend the 360 degrees Army-style water bottle. It's a 1 liter bottle. It's very affordable, and you're going to look really cool because it's Army-style.
It's got a nice camo sleeve as well.
Yes. And the Fireside Compact Firestone is also really affordable and available at Outdoor Warehouse. But the best thing I think you can do is just go to the website, outdoorwarehouse.co.za, and go search and find the product you would like. We are going to drop the links in the description of this podcast for you to go check it out, the products we specifically recommended here. Thanks a lot, Herman. That was a lot of fun.
That's an absolute pleasure. It was such a privilege spending time with you guys, and to actually be able to let the people out there know that these amazing skills do exist, especially in our amazing country. And I just want to say that all the guys out there should stay safe, learn some skills, get out there, don't be afraid, get to Outdoor Warehouse, get your kit. Keep yourself out a bit, and then hit the road, hit an adventure, hit a trail, and just go clear your mind. Get back to the wilderness again. We need to enjoy it. We need to go out there and actually live life to the complete fullest. And Outdoor Adventures give that to us. It provides a way.
What a fun conversation we just had with Herman. I learned so much, and after every episode, I have this need to go outside and just go do something in the nature. And this time around, I just want to go survive. I'm a bit scared of my hangry side, but we'll get through it.
I'm motivated.
Definitely.
And I can think of a couple of people that would really benefit from this.
Yes.
I think we all should go.
I think we should do a group effort. Yeah, we'll chat with the guys from Outdoor Warehouse and we'll set something up. Follow us on Spotify and on Apple. And check out boswa.co.za for all the information you might need about the conversation we had with Herman regarding the courses he has. And thank you to Outdoor Warehouse. This is For Every Adventure.
Stay in the loop on the best outdoor adventures on the For Every Adventure podcast with Outdoor Warehouse.